Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm very happy you are here. Let's take some time till everyone gets settled in. Mm, Mr. Viking, hello. Luis Fernando, hi, hi. Um, okay, so thanks first of all to be here, and thanks for checking in. Um, I want to do three things in under an hour. Um, Thanks everyone for the highs. Um, the first is I want to thank you. The reactions to the pre-order of the book were absolutely generous and amazing and very nice. So thank you so much. I'm really super excited, of course, because I spent 20 years being passionate about this subject of effective practicing and studying it and researching and of course using myself as a guinea pig first, and then a lot of students have been talking about this on podcasts and clinics and seminars all around the world, and it's really has become my passion to find out the best and nicest and most effective ways how to make practicing fun and productive. And yeah, so during those 20 years, during the last 7 years, I was actually working on the book. I had a drum camp already under the name of Effective Practicing, and I learned a lot there. So I used a lot of guinea pig students for that, to gather information, find out how I can explain things better. And of course, when I was teaching that as well. And again, also with myself. So I used this, made this system first for myself, and then um, use it also when I practice trumpet or other instruments or stuff like that. So thank you guys for the wonderful feedback on the pre-order. For those of you who don't know, yes, go to bennygreb.com to the shop. It's the first thing that will show up, and secure your pre-order as well, so we can get it to you before Christmas. Please do that. We will do three things today. First, I want to give you a little overview over the book, what you can roughly expect. Second, I want to read a tiny bit for you, where you can actually, I want to ask you later on, we will do a democratic election. I will not get political, I promise. But you can then decide which chapter I should read for you. So we'll do a little bit of reading, and then I want to do a question and answer. So if you have any questions, then keep them for then or repeat them then. And yeah, so overview, reading, question and answer. Before we go into the overview, some frequently asked questions that came up already. When is the book officially released? When will it get sent out? For those of you who pre-ordered on my website, the book is being printed right now. All that I have is this manuscript kind of thingy that I printed out myself, but it's being properly printed right now. That takes a couple of weeks. We're still aiming for, as we said from the very beginning, to send it out the first couple of days of December, so it can get to you before Christmas. That's our goal, and we're on schedule. So yeah, that will be nice. It is a hardcover book. It looks great. I will get a test print tomorrow. It looks really nice. So an overview. The book is divided in three levels. The first level is I introduce principles that are at play, and that we have to respect, so to speak, and are at play whether we don't respect them or we do respect them. Either they work for us or they work against us. Let me look into the index. The chapters are called things like distraction and focus, the three must-have tools for practicing, how to deal with frustration and judgment, which is important, the checklist cycle. This is basically a practicing tool that I always recommend, as well as the whale method, which comes from how do you eat a whale? Well, one little bite-sized piece at a time, right? So how to tackle big things by making them small, basically. How to structure and break down big tasks that seem unmanageable. There is a process to that, and I share it in this chapter. Of course, the question, what to practice, a chapter about attitude, motivation, the problem of I don't have enough time. So here we tackle how to actually get more time for practicing. There's a little bit of time management advice in there, and how you can actually get more practice time, or actually more time for whatever you want to do, but in this context regarding practicing. How often should I practice? When is the best time to practice? Environment, the ultimate practice room makeover. In this chapter, I talk about how you can make your practice room or hotel room or wherever you are really serve you and be as frictionless as possible. That means when you want to do something and you're like, oh, but I first have to, but I don't have the, like you can't be as disciplined as you want if you don't have the resources that you need, if it's hard to get going. It really makes it way harder. And it is really great to take some time to look at your environment, look at your practice room, what is missing, what could be improved, and what do I really need to make this fun. And there's also a chapter about discipline, a different look at discipline. And the thing here is that people usually think, I'm not disciplined enough, or I have to be more disciplined or more consistent. And there are a lot of tips in the book that are practical in general, but that practically give away a couple of tools and tricks that can trick you into good behavior. So that just make it way easier to be disciplined and way easier to be productive and consistent. And when I teach that to students and we get all of these things in place, in my experience, people are usually amazed how much more disciplined they are all of a sudden, because it's just easier to keep going and to get into it and stuff like that. So discipline itself, it's not all about willpower. It's also about environment. It's about preparation. It's about clarity. So a lot of it is about this, practicing without your instrument even, practicing anywhere, and separate playing and practicing. So this is a big one, to define what is practicing, what is playing, and to do both of them. I'm not a guy who only says like, you have to set a timer, although I believe in that, and we go over that too. But I think it's also important to just let loose and to just play. But I think it's very important to separate the two so they don't poison each other. Otherwise, when playing and practicing gets mixed, when you play and you just want to have fun and you criticize yourself all the time, that can be a habit too, and that gets practiced as well, and it's not fun. You will find yourself on stage, maybe you made this experience already, you find yourself on stage and you play and you constantly think like, this could have been, this should be different. So no one wants to see that and it's not enjoyable. And the other thing is with the practicing. If too much playing gets into the practicing, it doesn't become productive. You're just wasting a lot of time, and you ask yourself, damn, what have I been doing? So separating playing and practicing is another good one. So these are these preparing principles. This is level 1. I go over a lot of these and already have a couple of, at the end of each chapter, there are key points and a couple of assignments of like, take a look at this, check this out already, try this out already. And then it kind of primes you, it sets you up nicely for level 2. Level 2 is where we set up your EPM system, the Effective Practicing for Musicians system, EPM. And what that does is we define the big 3, as I call them. The why. So why are you practicing? Where do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish? What is your motivation at all? You know, people talk about motivation all the time. What motivation really is to have a strong why, to have a strong reason to do something. And that's what kids are good at, you know, like when you say like, do this, do that, why? This is like it is, why? You know, and it is a good question. It's a great question, because if you don't know why should you put in the work? It's a legitimate question. So this has to be answered, because otherwise it can sabotage you unconsciously. Also, it makes it very, very difficult to decide what to practice if you don't know why you even want to improve and where you want to go at all, right? And this is the problem with the world we live in right now, when you have millions of things to choose from, and a new link that someone sends you, and it's like, oh, here's a new 32 licks to impress your grandma's dog, or like whatever, then, oh, I should watch this, and then you get distracted, you try to do too many things at once. There is no way to decide what you should practice if you don't know what you really want. Where are your strengths and weaknesses, and where do you want to go? And some people say like, it's hard to find that out, but I have a process in the book. We just answer a couple of questions and think a little bit, and then we uncover that. It's like peeling an onion, basically. So the why. The second thing is the here and now of the big three that we figure out in the EPM system. The here and now is, okay, we figured out where you want to go, but the here and now is, where are you right now? How is it? How do you actually play? What frustrates you? Where are your weaknesses? What goes on your nerves? Do you maybe speed up and slow down like crazy at the last gig, and you're frustrated by that? Or do you want to play way faster? Or whatever it is, whatever turns you on to really find out like, oh, okay, where am I right now compared to where I want to go? And we have then a process there in the book where you actually get a diagram of your strengths and weaknesses, of the things that really matter to you. And then it becomes easier and easier to be like, okay, what is the next step, which is the third thing. What do I actually do right now? So we have to find out what is, out of all the things that could be practiced, out of all the things that could be done, what is the three things, the most important things that you should be doing right now? That's the question, right? And if you know that, then you can relax and get to work and just do those, and not get another link or see another drummer on Instagram and be like, oh shit, I should do this too, but I can't do that at all. It's like, well, you then know what you should do right now, and then you can go to the next. And it's also important that these are not too many things, as you know, because if you attack like 12 things at once, you probably will feel any progress at any of them. But if you really dig deep on 2 or 3 things, then you can actually check them off and go to the next one. That's how progress is made, right? By not jumping from one tiny thing just from the surface to surface, but like really digging deep. So that's the second level to set up your EPM system. All of this is a step-by-step guide, very practical, to get you in the end to have a custom-made practice plan, individually made for you, right? So if you go through this book, at the end it's like a machine where you throw in your information, your kind of experiences, and if you follow through step by step, at the end you have a custom-made practice plan that fits you and where you are right now and where you want to go, and your strengths and weaknesses. So I wish I would have had that early on. So this is the level 2. The level 3 then is the EPM system in action. After we talked about in level 1 all the principles that are at play and that are important and that play a role, and you get introduced to them, in level 2 we really set up your EPM system. And in level 3 this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you get going, and there is some oh, if this happens, then that. And oh, now this maybe happened, then that. So it's basically troubleshooting and making sure it runs like a well-oiled machine, and there's any challenges are then ironed out, so to speak. Does that make any sense? So far, are you still with me? I know I'm moving fast because I know we don't have that much time. So give me a heart if you think that makes any kind of sense. Are you still there? I know there is always a delay. Oh, here come the hearts. Okay, good. Cool. Let me drink some more of my lemon water. Very nice. I maybe put too much lemon in there, but it should be healthy, right? Anyway, so these are the 3 levels, and this has served me very, very well, has served many of my students very well, and I'm incredibly excited to share this with you. Again, if you don't know, bennygreb.com, go to the shop site at bennygreb.com and pre-order it there. And yes, someone asked the question, there are signed versions as well. We have a limited number of books that I sign for you. You can order them as well. Okay, so now let me go through these nice comments. You're very generous. Thank you so much. Which rudiments help you grow a perfect beard? There is no beard advice today. And by the way, this is a secret. This is the most important secret. I give out a lot of knowledge, but how I get to this beard, that will always remain a history. I'll take that into the grave. Yes, and it is, we do, I don't know why people are critical of this. We do ship worldwide. So no matter where you are, whether it's Russia, India, Chile, like we send it out worldwide. And we've done that with our other products, or my other products as well. So good. Now let me get caught up with those many, oh, thank you so much. There are so many comments. Incredible. I wanna get to a point where I'm caught up. Sorry. Israel as well, yes. Tips for tall drummers with long limbs. Well, I'm one of them, so I think, is there a new book? Someone asks. Yes, it's called Effective Practicing for Musicians. Go to my website, bennygreb.com, and check it out in the shop for pre-order. Cool. Now, I want to make a little vote. You can now decide which chapter I should read for you. Now let's see what wins. I'll give you 3 chapters, and you can decide what you want to hear today. This is an exclusive first book read, okay? So the first is environment, practice room. So how to set up your environment so it's nice and frictionless, okay? Yeah, if you pre-order, it doesn't automatically mean a signed version. There is a signed version as a product in the shop. There is a normal, but there is the book itself in the shop. So you can decide there in the shop which ones you want to have. Read the whole book. We don't have time for that. But again, so the vote, okay? I need you to concentrate now. This is chaos. Now, here's the vote. First, environment. Practice room, how to set that up in the best way. Environment, I could read. Or, how often should I practice? How often? Or, focus and distraction. So, write your vote in the comments. Environment, practice room environment, how to do that. Maybe you can already start that today. How often should I practice? And distraction and focus. So let's go. Let me know. Otherwise, I will make the decision. I vote environment. Environment. We have focus and distraction. Environment. How often? I'm going to do often. Environment. It's very environment heavy so far. Focus and distraction is almost the same now. How often? Distraction and focus. Environment again. Distraction and focus is almost the same. Focus and distraction, environment. You know what? The first couple ones were environment stuff. Focus and distractions now is catching up. Environment. Geez, this is like the American election. It's very, very close. I promised it will not be political. I'll shut up. How often? I get distracted too easily. Well, welcome to the club. Okay, environment. Let's pick environment. I think this is something that maybe you can already try out when the live stream is over. Sorry if you wanted the other chapter. I think you have to buy the book then. No, I really want to give you something that makes sense right now. I think environment is a good pick. Are you ready that Uncle Benny will read for you? This feels a little weird, but I like it. Okay, good. Here we go. This is your bedtime story. Oh, I don't know wherever you are, but in Germany it's pretty late already. Okay, environment. The ultimate practice room makeover. Even if you approach your practice with the focus of a yogi and tireless motivation, your environment can be an obstacle to making real progress. In this chapter, we will focus on creating an environment that supports your goals so your practicing can flow with the least amount of friction. One of the main goals of e-commerce companies is to reduce friction, or the amount of effort it takes for you to get where you want to go. How many clicks until you can buy the product, for example. They found out the more links you have to click, the more hurdles you have to overcome, the more decisions you have to make, the more things you need to think about before you can do the thing you set out to do and that they want you to do, the less likely you are to complete the transaction. Friction has such an impact on our behavior that companies will go to great lengths to eliminate it. From shopping centers to trade shows, vendors will even go as far as to match the hallway flooring so the visitors don't perceive a border between the path they're already on and the entrance to the store or booth. Again, the more friction there is, the less likely you are to reach the goal or even to get going in the first place. I found this is also true when it comes to my fitness routine. If I wake up in the morning and have to search for my workout clothes, or if I don't have bottled water on hand, if my running shoes are still damp and I can't do the workout right away, chances are I'll find a reason to not do it at all. For musicians, this question becomes, how can we create a practice environment that offers the least amount of friction, both before and during our practice? I recommend attacking this problem using two methods: visualization and optimization. Okay, visualization works like this. Forget about what your practice space looks like right now and the resources you may or may not have available. Close your eyes and begin to envision the ultimate practice environment of your dreams. You can do this right now, by the way. In as much detail as possible. In a perfect world, what would your practice space look and feel like? Try to shush the monkey chattering on your shoulder. But this isn't possible. This is a bit over the top. We can't afford this. We don't need this. You don't deserve this. And so on. Ignore that. This is just a mind exercise where you are totally free to imagine a space that is as elaborate or as Spartan as you wish. It can be helpful to choose a name to describe this place, something that captures the essence of what this space means to you, something that encourages you to dream big, and please have fun with this. Example: the first time I did this exercise, for some reason the phrase workspace of a world-class musician came to mind. It made me laugh because I certainly didn't feel like a world-class musician, but that wasn't the point. The point was, could I benefit from a workspace that was designed to a world-class standard? And the answer is yes. For me, this was fitting because my practice space felt like an accumulation of compromises, something a world-class musician wouldn't tolerate. What elements would he require, and what would he change? I allowed myself to play around with this idea in my head, and my creative juices started flowing. I thought it would be great to have water over there, and why not a small fridge in the corner? The lighting would need to be sufficient and also pleasant. The instrument would be mic'd up and ready to go at all times, ready to play to backing tracks with a set of headphones, clean sheets of paper. What about a flip chart where I could make notes, list the tasks of the day, or jot down a song form that had started to take shape while the band was songwriting? This is brainstorming. You let the ideas come without criticizing or evaluating. Just write them all down and allow yourself to dream big. After I finished my wish list, I felt very excited. I went to the practice room and opened the door. After registering a moment of shock, I had to burst out laughing. There's no other way to say it. It was a shithole. The only light in the room was a single light bulb dangling from a cord. The instrument? There was no instrument. It wasn't even set up. There were cases lying around on the floor because I had gotten home late the night before and had just thrown everything in there. How is that for friction? In that moment, I realized just how much this had helped me back in the past. I could easily recall many times when I thought, how about practicing? Oh well, first I have to set up the drum kit and then I don't know if I have this thing I need. You get the picture. The gulf between my wish list and the sad reality of my current situation seemed enormous. But I found that by going through my list, one item at a time, many of the things that had initially seemed over the top or straight up impossible started coming together, and in less time than I thought. As for the changes that would require a bit of extra effort, ask yourself, is it worth it? So I upgraded my space, and the results were absolutely amazing. Was I able to make all the changes on my list? No, but almost all, and this was enough to completely transform how I felt when I was in the practice room, and this is what it's all about. And even more important, it changed how I felt about practicing. This is the power of visualization. This approach starts with, where do I want to end up? What is the distance between here and there? And then try to close the gap. The second thing, and we're done soon with the chapter, so are you still with me? The second strategy is optimizing. Meet your practice space where it is right now and identify some changes you can make to improve efficiency and create a more effortless experience. Start by asking, what's missing? Look at your instrument and the space around it. Do you have all the tools you need? If you want to practice with a click, do you have one already there? Or do you have to plug it in? Or do you usually drive to a practice room? If so, how can you make the drive as easy and frictionless as possible? If you need to pack certain items, can you pack the night before? Can you keep a bag always packed and ready to go? This is your practice room bag. Keep it in a certain spot, ready to grab on your way out to the door, or maybe it just stays and lives in your car. Again, these are just examples, whatever works for you. But think about ways to reduce friction so it's easy to start and keep practicing. Key points. Your environment influences the likelihood of whether you will practice or not. Next, visualize your ultimate practice space. Next, get out a pen and paper and use the brainstorming method. Write down anything and everything that comes to mind, allowing yourself to dream big without criticizing or deleting. Next, go through your wish list and then make as many improvements as possible. Maybe choose the 3 things that would make the biggest difference right away. Next, size up your instrument and the environment around it. Try to fix whatever's missing. Next, think about your process. Can you optimize your commute or any rituals before and after? This could mean something big like finding a new practice space entirely, or replacing a smelly rug, or something small like simply treating yourself to a coffee after each practice session. Make this space your own. Make it fun, and do it now. This is the chapter about environment and the ultimate practice room makeover. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? The next one is about practicing anywhere. And then the chapter afterwards is about practicing without an instrument. So I'll just read the beginning of the next chapter so you know where it's heading. Practicing anywhere. Now let's explore the flip side of the coin. Although it's ideal to practice in an environment that feels nice and comfortable, complete with all the resources we need, we shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking this is the only way to be productive. The feasibility of practicing an instrument is usually determined by 3 factors: the size of the instrument, the volume it produces, what neighbors usually call a noise, and its portability or immobility, as the case may be. The bigger, louder, and more cumbersome your instrument, the more limited your practice opportunities may seem. But we can drastically expand your practicing options by being resourceful in identifying smaller, quieter, and more portable alternatives. And then the ironing board in Chicago, where there's a little story about Steve Smith and me. But you gotta check out the book. It's nice. So again, this is kind of one of the warm-up chapters of one of the principles, and I would love to make an audiobook. It's a little bit later down the road, but thank you very much. But yeah, this was one of the chapters that is in level 1, where we go through all the kind of principles that are at play with practicing. And then in level 2, we use them to set up your EPM system. And then the last one is really where we apply it and we get the machine going. So thank you. It's very useful, you say. Thank you so much. Everyday practice rudiment? No, only if you if that's your goal. See, people always ask me about certain methods. Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And this is the wrong way around. I would never advertise a method over a goal. What I mean by that is this. If someone says, should I, when do they ship out? I said that in the beginning. They ship out beginning of December. We're still on schedule. Our plan is to get it to you before Christmas. And I'm confident we can do that. So the book is being printed right now. And how many chapters? I didn't count the chapters actually, but it's about 200 pages, so, or 190 pages, I have to say. Yes. Cool. So I would always ask, where do you want to go? And then see what fits that road. Does that make sense? If you don't do it that way, if you turn it around, hi Ben, if you turn it around, then it's a little bit like someone would come up to you on the street and say, hey man, where should I go? And you're like, well, where do you want to go? You know, it's like, you don't ask for directions that way. You don't ask like, where should I go? You say like, I want to go to, let's say, the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Like, which direction should I go? And then someone can help you, right? But if you just say, where should I go? Then every road is fine. And this is the problem we have, because there is so much to practice. There's so much to do, and you could practice anything, and you all know that, right? You only get organization there, and only get the clutter away and see clearly and see your way and what you need to do right now and what's best for you, if you know, okay, where do I want to go? And then you pick the things that get you there. What is the best tool to get you there? What is the best way to get you there? Does that make any sense? I know the answers are always a little bit delayed, but just type a heart if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I wasted the last 35 years of my life. Okay, good. I'm relieved. Okay, good. Ooh, let's drink some more of that lemon water, where I totally messed up the mixture. Oh, way too much lemon. Oh my God. Okay. So again, I'm inside my practice room right now, yes. So now Do you have any questions about the book that I can help you with before we wrap it up here? Ist das Buch auf Deutsch oder Englisch? The book is in English. The book is in English only right now. How many years of research did you do for the book? I could say 35 because it's basically all my experience, but really focused on it and making notes and asking people about it, I would say 20 years. 20 years of research. The actual writing time of the book, it maybe sounds depressing, but or impressive, hopefully, was 7 years. So I wrote this book. I took 7 years to write this book. And many of you may have heard me. There was this Vic Firth interview after the VF Jams where I already talked about this. I even talked about this in interviews like 5 years ago. Yeah, so good. Any questions? Any other questions? First of all, also, I gotta say thank you again that you're interested. Thanks for hanging out with me here. That's awesome. Hi from Colombia. How will it be called? It will be called Effective Practicing for Musicians. The bedtime story. I just read a bedtime story. I will then save this to the stories, and you can then listen to the chapter again if you want to for 24 hours. Could you look in the question space? Yes. Man, I like the way you explain things. Thank you so much. The amount of disrespect in the chat. Oh, it's not so disrespectful. I had worse. I think it's very cultivated, actually. When does Gap Click come on Android? Okay, this is not about the book, but the programmer is still working on it. Believe me, I can't wait. But it just takes a while, apparently. So, but it's still on the radar. We're still working on it. So, can you talk about drum? Do you talk about drum techniques in the book? Well, it's more about really how to practice, and it's really a book that focuses on how you can find out what to practice, how long, how often, so that you have a practice plan at the end of reading the book that's custom made to you. It's a little bit agnostic regarding, there are examples in there, of course, of goals that you can set as a drummer or as a bass player even, but it's pretty independent from what level you are, and that's important, right? Because the problems that people have with practicing is usually pretty much the same, no matter whether you're advanced or a beginner, or many people think this is advanced stuff. I would actually argue, and I come more and more to the belief that it may actually be even more important to do this from the beginning on, because you can make so much progress in the beginning. It's ridiculous. So, oh, Ramon. Hey, you all have to follow Ramon Montagnier. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry, Ramon. But Ramon is an absolute master. So give him a follow. He's awesome. And thanks for your generosity as always. Lernt man mehr über Tempo Management? Über Time Management. About time management, you learn something, and about practicing in general. Cool. Anything else before we call it a day? Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. It will only be available on your website. A clear yes to that. It is only available on my website, bennygreb.com. Go into the shop. It's the first thing that shows up, and pre-order it now. It will be good for you. Looking forward to receiving mine. That's awesome. Thanks for the pre-order, man. Love the gap click. I appreciate it. Let's keep it with the book, because otherwise it gets totally out of hand. Phil, thank you so much. Question: what do you feel are 3 most important skills, core concepts for succeeding as a drummer? Well, there are 2 parts of this answer. Wait, I have to take this first. if you could explain the book in 3 sentences, what would it be? Actually, I can explain it in 1 sentence, and it's this: the ultimate guide for how to become better at your instrument. Boom. For how to get better at your instrument. Yeah. Yes, in the book, for example, when we talk about the goal setting and the the why, basically, so figuring out your personal why, I have a lot of examples of how that list could look like and what that list should be. But ultimately it has to be your list, of course. But I also have my list in the book, my personal list that I still work out of what I think are the most important qualities that I work on right now. And the list is this: time, groove, sound, independence or coordination, technique, and musicality. And these 6 things are basically the areas that I want to improve myself. And but this might not be for everyone, because, for example, you have to come up with your own list, right? Everyone has to come up with their own list there, because it has to be your why. Everyone is only motivated by what they think, what turns them on, right? And I really believe in that's very important. So if you are into stick tricks and want to improve there, you won't find it on my list. Or if, for example, sight reading, or like, it's not on my list at the moment. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying that for me right now, I'm not working on sight reading at the moment, right? So it's not in my list right now. But if it's on your list and you really want to become better at sight reading, it has to be one of your qualities. And then you select from these areas, okay, what are the 3 most important ones right now? What are the ones that I need to improve in most? And then you define a goal for each of these areas, and that's what you then do for a certain amount of time and measure yourself. I'm a big proponent of timers and to record yourself before and after, and journaling. There are a lot of tips in there about how to journal, what to write down and what not to write down. How long is it, you say? It's 190 pages. I will not release a digital version of the book because I don't like that stuff. It is from the perspective as a drummer, but it is enough. It is. There are also other examples in there for singers and blah blah blah, because it applies to every music instrument. It really is It is really effective practicing for musicians. It's not effective practicing for drummers only. And then you don't have to listen to stupid jokes anymore. Yes, musicians. We are also musicians, of course. Should you read the book and work with sections? I would go step by step with the book. Here's the thing. You can do what you want. I would prefer if you would go step by step through the whole thing, because again, when you go step by step, it really makes sense. It makes a nice introduction, and it leads you really step by step automatically to your personal individual practice plan in the end, right? And that is a big one. However, you can, of course, like I just did, like take any chapter and have something to work on to improve that will make your practicing better. So all these little pieces work by themselves, and they do work by themselves. But the true magic and the true power comes in when you do them in sequence, and when you do all of them, so to speak, in the EPM system, effective practicing for musician system. And that's when really the sum is more than just this. It's more than the sum of its parts, right? So, okay, I'm gonna sign off soon. Maybe one last thing. Again, I want to thank you so much for spending the time and for your interest in this. It really means a lot to me. Yeah, I've been working for so many years on this. I'm so happy that it finally will be out, and it really helped me a lot. It still does. I'm still. Oh, and I have to say this too. I some people think I can talk about this because I'm great at this, or you know, but I regard myself as a humble student of this still, and will always remain to be. So it the book really doesn't come from perspective of talking down. It really is an honest attempt to help, and I would have loved to have this when I was at any time, actually, when I was beginning, when I was studying, or even 5 years ago. So or now, it helped me to write this book as well. So cool. I want to thank you again. I will wrap it up. Again, I will try to. Last time I messed it up. I hope this time I can do it. I will talk deeply about journaling in the book. Yes, it's one of the 3 most important tools for practicing, I think. See, I just want to wrap it up. What did I want to say? Yes, I will try to make this available for 24 hours in the stories. I hope I will not mess it up. And so if you want, go back, check it out, check out the chapter where I read it. Maybe you can already act on it. This is something till the book arrives where you can already kind of take action. And again, bennygreb.com in the shop. Effective Practicing for Musicians, the ultimate guide for how to become better at your instrument. I'm so freaking excited. Thank you all so much for your support and your interest, and I wish you a great night or great day wherever you are, and hope to hear from you soon. And please also, when you get the book before Christmas, let me know. I want to hear about how you work with that stuff and what it does to you, so I can't wait for you implementing this stuff and hear about your success. So, thank you so much again. Bye-bye. I don't know how to turn this off now. Here. Okay, bye-bye.